Instagram, and then something else. And I wonder what the something else is. Okay, so I apologize so much. We did have a little bit of a power blip, and so everything reset. But you know what? That means everything's fresh. Fresh and new and clean and new, and we will run that giveaway. I apologize for the people who were waiting for that. Yes, okay. So let's give everybody a chance to come back, and I'm so sorry. I try to get back up and running as fast as I can, and I know that took, gosh, maybe 5 or more minutes. When you're used to live selling on whatnot, here, let me just tag something. I could actually do it faster on the other screen. Let me do that. I'm still here. I'm just going to do this over here. Still here. Still here. Okay, I'm still here. Thank you, Abbott, and I think we just have a few more people. I think we did them all. Hello, I'm still here. I'm just getting caught up, and I will be there in 1 second. Okay, cool. Okay, apologies again, but you know, this is why we love to have a backup, and I apologize it's been like empty when you've been showing up. So, all right, so I think we got everybody notified. Okay, a little bit of a power blip. Um, so one of the things I wanted to mention is, you know, you can have the best setup or whatever, but when the internet is not cooperating, it's just like not working. And you know, the funny thing was, I went back and reviewed some of my YouTube lives, and usually the video quality is like amazing. And unfortunately, some of the ones that I did on the ship show, there's a big chunk that's not going to be usable because it came out pixelated. I'm glad that it still worked though. It still struggled, but it worked. Uh, I'm going to wait for people to come back in, but let's give them a giveaway and maybe that'll entice some. Okay, we're going to do another one of these. So I guess number 2 did not go as planned, and that's okay. We're doing this, options, start giveaway. Okay, so let's see if we can get some people back. Oh my gosh. Welcome in. I apologize. So Dilly, thank you for coming back. Yeah, we did lose the internet for just a second. Now, was it your question we were talking about? Let me look. I'm trying to get caught up. And I appreciate you guys helping each other out while I was gone for a second there. So women's clothing, and you're talking about using flat rate, or what are you talking about? Well, you explain that. I'm going to give you my basic presentation on how to explain whatnot shipping. So we have 3 categories. The first is lightweight, which is less than a pound. That will ship ground advantage. Then we have best rate between 1 and 5 pounds, which will go priority mail. And then above that, you could go with ground advantage for 6 to 70 pounds, or you might go with priority mail. And some people prefer the flat rate box option because the price is going to be the same between that best rate and a priority flat rate box. Now, not all boxes are flat rate that say priority, so you just have to match the box to the label. But I'm just curious to know. And I'm also going to tell you, well, it's a small crowd. I would focus on selling more than I would on shipping for your first shows. I would say that in the long run is going to help you. Whatnot gives us 5 adjustment allowances per week, but within those ranges that I just talked about, you do have the ability to adjust without using that. So if something's 2 pounds, not 1 pound, the customer doesn't pay anything more for that because they're in that best rate category. And if they're less than a pound, if we thought it was going to be 1/4 of a pound, but it's really going to be 1/2 a pound or 8 ounces, the customer isn't going to get charged for that, and neither are you. So Whatnot has given us enough flexibility as sellers to kind of best guesstimate what the weights are going to be, and it's really only when you're going into different brackets that you'll need to use a free adjustment. But elsewhere in the universe, those don't exist, so use them wisely. But yeah, I think that, try to get your weights as good as you can, but don't worry if you don't. And I'll also tell you, as of 2 years ago, about 90% of sellers did not make any shipping label adjustments. And how that was all working, I can't even tell you. But Whatnot has a really good relationship with the post office. So I think a lot of the packages did make it there. You were worried if you don't have reduced shipping, it would deter people away. Those are probably the people you want out of your first shows. And I'm going to be very candid. The thing about some of the sizzle elements that you'll see some of the bigger sellers doing, it's because they're really getting to a very competitive place. And when you're starting, you're nowhere near that. So I never had reduced shipping when I did my first 1,000 sales. Frankly, I didn't even know like how to do it. I do now, but I just didn't even think about it. And in the category I was selling in, which is crafts, it was not a standard. But in the clothing category, because it's grown so big, it can get really competitive. So yeah, I would say you don't have to worry about it. But you can also, and I'm a big fan of this, you can test it. So you can do one show with reduced and one with regular and see if you notice a big difference. It would have to be a huge difference, though, to justify choosing one over the other. If it's just 1 or 2 orders or 1 or 2 customers, I mean, that can just be random. So focus on your sales. The sales come before the shipping. And this is unfortunately where I have sort of had to take a little bit of a detour, because when I started this show more than a year ago, basically the problem was a lot of the craft sellers were overestimating their weights, and that was scaring away some of their sales. So once we got everybody to understand how they are able to use their adjustments and if they even need to use the adjustment, everybody got it. And as soon as they changed their weights to not overestimate but to accurate estimate, not trying to pad it too much, because we're bundling and those extra ounces will add up over a few items. Once they got their weights corrected, instantly I saw people going from 0 sales to selling dozens and dozens of stuff. And you're weighing as you go, which is one way to do it. And you did the first one reduced, and you think you'll do it regular. Yeah. I mean, how did your first show go? let's get some experts in the room. Um, and King Kim, congratulations! You'll get a giveaway, and I will let you know what that is. I'll send you a message. But yes, so it went really good. So yeah, go with what you're comfortable with. Did anybody even mention the shipping? And I try to sample people's shows. I really do. Um, 73 items. You don't need, you're doing fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. And $1 to $3 starts. So that's another thing. Is the $1 start on $1 if it's a tangible item like a anything that's not going to fit inside of a envelope. Basically, you're losing money if it sells for $1. Even at 2 or 3, it's really hard to break even because you've got your packaging costs and you have your ancillary costs, which are going to be, gas to go to the post office, your internet, your electricity, all that fun stuff. And you've really only got about 30 cents to work with in that first dollar. So if you can get up to 2, 3, 4, 5, it is possible to just kind of break even. But if you're selling like 3D stuff. If you're selling stickers, bookmarks, ephemera, small pieces of craft paper, I can understand how people are able to kind of break even there. But with clothing, I would not imagine that that's going to. I think every time you're selling at $1 or $2, you're selling at a loss. So you're already giving the customer plenty of reasons to want to shop with you. That's just how it is. What is everybody's lowest price out there? It's been so long since I've been in a store. I want to say Old Navy used to floor at $3, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they go less than $3. Crafty Gal, welcome in. So let's do another giveaway because you guys have been more than patient, and I definitely want to give you whatever information I can. I will do my own regular scheduled show 6 p.m. I'm actually testing out a new category that I haven't sold a lot of in the past, but I have sold, which is books. And so for the next about week, I plan to just do 6 p.m.-ish. Just if it's 6:30, it's 6:30. If it's 5:30, but I want to stick around 6 and just see what happens when I'm consistent, because I've always had kind of a staggered schedule. And I think that if I'm there at a predictable time block, people will find me. Okay, so how does it work when Whatnot does the commissions per item or per sale at the end of the show? That is a really good question. That is not the most often asked. So I'm glad you brought that up. And keep entering that giveaway. Giveaways are meant to be given. Okay, so the way that it works is Whatnot processes every transaction at the time something is sold. And I know that will trigger some banks and credit issuers to put a freeze on accounts or put a hold there. So sometimes people have to call their bank, get in touch with them, let them know they're doing some shopping. Because there are going to be like a lot of smaller transactions. There's not going to be like one big transaction at the end. Because it's a live auction, I haven't myself been able to think about how could they do that differently. So I think it's just a necessity the way that we do things because we're selling one item at a time. But and I understand in the real world, sometimes, at live auctions, you're not going to pay until the auction's over and everybody's settling up. But on Whatnot, it's instant. So you'll see on your earnings report. And actually, if you've already got some sales, you should start seeing some of those numbers come up. Go to Seller Hub and then look at your earnings, and you'll start to see numbers trickle in there. And it'll show you, and they're not going to be even dollar amounts. They're always going to be off a little bit because Whatnot has to take its percentage, but really the payment processing fee is the highest percentage. And that's that. So, on your future shows, as you get more comfortable, especially if you do want to offer people shipping discounts, check with some of the people in your category and see how they're doing their bundle deals, where people can like claim items and then you could do like one single purchase. If they're going to buy 5 different things instead of 5 $5 items, you could sell them one $25 item, and it's much better for weighing as well as for making sure that you don't get overcharged on transaction fees. And it would be depressing to pack one item or 100 items for $1 to $5. It is. Shipping Is pack will make people are making money. What is it? How are they're not. I mean, they're making money for Whatnot and the credit card issuer, but I think even Whatnot is in the negative at a $1 sale because they have to pay their back office, and they're really good. I love Whatnot customer service. So yeah, I think that the $1 starts are okay if you have a big enough audience and you know that only a few are going to go for $1. But it used to be pretty common that we would do $1 starts on everything until we got 1,000 items sold, and now we have such better ideas and strategies for that, including your letter mail, which will ship out for 73 cents. As of now, it's going to be 78 cents later, but as of now, it's going to be 73 cents. So it just can't be an item. It's going to be like something very, very thin, such as a piece of paper, just even gift cards under $20, totally okay. Trading cards, collectible cards. I'm just sort of imagining things because I sell in my categories, but I don't know everybody's. If you've got ideas, some people will send out tea bags, tea sachets. Some people will send flower seeds or vegetable garden seeds. They can't stick up too much where it's going to be like more than a quarter inch, but you don't want to push that line because what happens is it flies through this high-speed automated system and it'll jam, and your local post office will remember that. If they remember nothing else about you, they will remember that you jammed up their machine. So please don't do that. Car freshener stickers, exactly. So there's a lot of good things. In fact, I do that for the giveaways. Now, if you're gonna level up your game and you're gonna use your shipping for marketing, which was always the intended goal of the ship show, was to do more than just the beginner aspect, and we've gotten into some of that, and we've gotten some really good projects. And Dilly, congratulations! So it pays to be patient, I guess. So yeah, the goal was to use packaging also as part of your marketing presentation, because when you're sending me a box, you're basically sending me a billboard. And I've done some openings. I think you might be able to see some of those on YouTube. So always check the channel, Stay Home to Shop, one word, common spelling, even if you can't see it over there. So I think you might be able to see that. And the reason I do that is, number one, I want High Country Roads with Michelle. Is your show going? We need to talk about shows that are going to be running when this one ends in 7 minutes. And hi, Hazy Ames. So let's do another giveaway. The goal is, when you give somebody, especially with giveaways, the giveaway is your opportunity to make a good first impression. You will encounter, oh, it's tonight. Okay, well, we got plenty of time. Let's just relax a little. I thought it was going to be after this. I thought I might be able to surprise you with a rate. However, I will be doing a later show myself, so maybe it's not out of the question. Depends on how long it goes. I'll be on at 7 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Central. Well, I need people to take good care of the folks who watch my shows, because this audience does stay small, but it's a really good audience. It always has been. Okay, so back to that. If you're using your packaging as part of your marketing, Postmodern Cat, I hope you made it back. Did you please? Because I want to eventually get you on to brag about some of your design work. Really, really good stuff, but I don't want to give any of it away. Okay, in 2 weeks from now, we will have Barbara Florentine come on. Barbara is an artist, and she has spread her butterfly wings all over Whatnot, and she has touched all different categories, and she's made so many contacts. She's organized raid trains with people, and she's just a natural connector. She is going to give us a little bit of her genius, and I'm really looking forward to that. I can't even really give you a good summary of it, but I was introduced early to Barbara in my Whatnot journey, and I'm so glad that I was, because she knows everybody. So if nothing else, get in touch with Barbara, and she hopefully will make some good connections for you. What other questions do we have? We've got about 5 minutes. We've got a giveaway running, so all the reason to put the questions out there. One other thing I want to tell you is, don't feel that, although I constantly tell you, go back to your category, look at your top sellers and see how they're doing. Don't feel that that is going to be your answer, especially if you're building your business and you're expanding your brand. it comes in stages. Stay Home to Shop did not actually start out as a reselling brand. It was only going to be for shopping tutorials. So if you go back and you look at my earlier videos, they're nothing like these. I actually like to watch some of them just to embarrass myself. I'm like, who does that? And now on these Whatnot shows, it's like, oh, what's he gonna do now? I edit YouTube. I don't get to edit Whatnot. So yeah, the funny thing is, try some different things, and I get ideas from different sellers. I'm going to give full credit. Go in and rob the shop while it's still showtime. I've taken Julie Becker's top tips. She is a clothing seller. She is a Whatnot ambassador, and she has done some amazing things, and she's actually giving you really practical tips that have been working for her recently. Because the things that were working a year ago, it's probably not going to do what you want it to. And the year before that, it's probably not going to happen. So you really want to stay fresh on that, and she's got some really good ideas. Any advice on signing up for rewards program? Yes, you should sign up for my rewards program. Absolutely. And the crown up above me. Thank you. I feel like I should get in the giveaway. I feel like I should give you something. Now, my rewards program has basically stayed the same. It did have a really good effect the first season and also the second season. And this season, I have just been distracted. So I will take full blame on that. I have not promoted the rewards program the way that I was promoting it. The challenge that I have is that it's based on a 3-month window. And realistically, that's tough because once you get people up into your higher brackets, you kind of want to keep them like as your top tier. But except for except for diamond, everybody resets. So diamond resets at gold, which means they can still get into private shows. There is a lot of misinformation floating around, so be careful of what you're hearing. I won't even go into what I heard about private shows. They're not meant to be mean by keeping people out. It's set at gold and above. That's Whatnot's basic structure. It's been that way. They didn't really explain that at first, but I think a lot of sellers who run a reward season, we all know that. So if you're silver or bronze, it's not like we're, throwing you out the door. Nobody's entering the giveaway. They're like, you've given us so much. But try it. That's my advice. And the other thing is, I'm talking about like a seller perspective. If you are going to try it, you don't have to get it perfect. I don't really see how people are losing a lot of money. I always do percentages off. And so it just means that the total price at the end is going to be less, but it's not like it's money that's going to get removed from my bank account. Now, if you're doing some items and you're getting dollar coupons off, I could understand that could create a challenge because you could basically create something that's going to be a $0 item if the person had the coupon, $5 off and the item's $5. But if you go that way, I always side on the side of the customer because it's supposed to be a good experience for them. And I really don't want to put any extra obstacles in their way. And if they do encounter those, I try to smooth things over on the backside. So yeah, but I think it's a good way. If you haven't done it yourself, it will give you a different perspective on who your shoppers and customers really are. The people I would think of just based on memory they don't fall where I would imagine they did on the sales chart. And if you just want to know like what we're talking about here as far as the difference between diamond and the difference between bronze, bronze for me is less than $5. Diamond for me is more than $100. So that's a huge difference. So I need to know when I see some diamond people pop up in my room. And having those little visual icons is a good reminder of that. So thank you for reminding me. I feel like I got more out of this than anybody else did. I will have a regular selling show, but I think we're going to have a little bit of time. In just a few hours. So if I didn't get to your question, answer your question, or you just want to chat, feel free to check that out. I try to keep this down to exactly 1 hour and be respectful of everybody's time. We cannot control the internet, but let's surprise somebody. and be nice, and we will raid into somebody. So let's see who comes up. Oh, Draz. Draz is a really good person to follow and learn from if you haven't met Draz already. Also, rob Draz's store with those tip sheets because she puts those in her store. So let's go take a look at Draz. And until the next time I see you, 2 weeks from now, we will have another ship show with Barbara Florentine. I hope you can stay home to shop. You too, YouTube. Yes, we're going to raid Draz. We are ready to go. Thank you so much.
Spells. Stay home to shop is rating. So another fat quarter of this is running. And let me get a giveaway going. Everybody give Stay Home to Shop a follow. He's awesome. He sells ink crafts and all kinds of goodies as well. So giveaway is running. And I have a little envelope that has, thank you, Bohemian. I have a little envelope that has some journaling cards, some cute stickers.
Okay. So we're on our way. So I'm going to stop this now. Thank you so much.
Come with your order. If not, you'll get Happy Mail. So